All right, guys. It is kind of crazy being back here. This is 10 years since I graduated from the school. And coming back here, I wanted to do something special, because as I'm doing more and more speaking, there's times where I've really meticulously prepared presentations where it's like every detail, I know exactly what I'm going to say. I talked with your administration, I talked with the faculty, I talked with some of my friends who, in my graduating class, now work as your teachers here. And then thank you to everyone who filled out the questionnaire, because I read through all your responses, because I wanted to do something custom and special. And I have some ideas. I have some things that I definitely want to convey to you. It's things that I wished I'd known back when I was in high school, or even earlier than I know them now. But rather than me just cut up here and talk to you and do a lot of the type of thing that I think you're used to, it's like someone gets up and just talks and talks, or you got an hour, it's lunch, peace. Rather than do that, I want to talk to you guys. And so if I can have my mic runners, please. I'm going to have two mics set up here. I want to hear from you guys about what would be the best way you could spend this next hour. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to spend a little bit of time getting some feedback from all of you about what you would like to hear right now. I'm going to talk to those topics and those different ideas, different concepts, give you things that potentially could change your life. Because I have invested years and tens of thousands of dollars into personal development and growth. I've gotten to meet some of the most incredible people in the world. I've gotten to take people that used to be heroes and now they're close friends that have coached me and guided me and shared things with me that have changed my life. And they've also been things that have helped pull me through the darkest periods of my life, because you and I both know life isn't always easy. I know everyone here is battling something, whether or not they show it. And that's just reality, guys. Life doesn't wait for a certain age to throw things at you. And I remember what it's like. I remember being in high school and people are like, well, when I was your age, or you kids, and it's like, they don't know what you're going through. And I'm not saying I fully understand either, but at least I'm working to get an idea, because the anxiety, the stress, the pressure, the amount of homework you guys have is insane. Mrs. Stansberry, bear with me, but it's like compared to where we were at. You guys get loaded up. You're having pressures put on you earlier than ever before. You're having questions about college and your future and life just slammed at you every single day. And it's like, when do you have time to just be a kid? When do you have time to just chill? When do you have time to play sports and relax and have fun? So I want you to know that as we have the mic runners go out, there are ways for you to have fun, to enjoy life, to be very clear on what your passion and purpose is, and to be able to tackle the challenges you face, to be able to overcome the obstacles that life throws your way, because there are things that you can never predict. There are things that I faced in my life that literally my worst nightmare came true. And we may talk about that if that's relevant for you guys. But through love, support, and through a lot of work, a lot, I've been able to pull through, and now I share those messages because I don't want people to have to suffer through what I did in order to grow. I don't want people to be stuck thinking that they're not good enough, or that they're dumb, or that they can't learn, because it's all nonsense. It's just about finding the ways that work for you. So with that said, Mike Runners, if I could have you guys jump up. I want to hear from you guys today about what are the things that you actually want to do. Not what's the realistic or safe bet of the idea that you want to do with your next step in your life. It doesn't even have to be that, guys. It could be about right now. What are the things that you wish you had more of? What are the things you want to be doing but you feel you can't? What are the excuses that hold you back? What are the things that limit you? I want to start to talk to you right now, and from that, I'm going to put together what we're going to talk about today. So if you could put your hand up, the mic runners will come right over to you guys. Oh, and there's a rule. You have to tell me your name first, because most people are like, hey, what's the secret to life? It's all right. Just give me your name first. Let's get to know.
Stand up. Stand up. Stand up. Stand up. Stand up. Hi.
Hi.
I can't.
Is the mic on? Could you give it a tap? Could you sing for us a little bit? And just,
Girl.
Perfect. Yes. Yes. That's what I like.
Okay.
All right, guys, forget my speech. She'll be singing for you today. All right. So is it Riley? I think I'm hearing Riley.
Riley DeToro.
Nice to meet you, Riley. All right, what's up?
Nice to meet you. Am I saying what I want more of?
What you want more of? What are your goals? What are you working towards? Do you want to be an author? Do you want more time, more energy? It's open.
Okay.
And bring the mic a little. There you go.
I want more free time, and I'm gonna be a doctor.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
All right, good, good, very good.
Maybe.
All right, who else? All right, right up here.
Yeah.
My name is Sophia.
What is it?
Sophia.
Sophia, nice to meet you.
This is like a little deep already,
Good.
but
That's what I like.
I just need this to be answered. I struggled with depression in 7th grade, and I'm fine now, but my sister is starting to go into that cycle, and I don't know how to deal with it
Yep.
because she's being so mean to me, and I don't know what to do.
Yep. Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate that. And did everyone hear that? Because this is important. And before we go, we'll get a couple more shares, but how do you help somebody who's going through pain? That is the hardest thing I've experienced in my life yet. The worst thing, and I think you can relate, that sometimes when people hurt, they go internal. Sometimes when they hurt, they are explosive. And there are a couple different ways to deal with that. I will cover that. How to help not only yourself through pain, because that's part of it. Because when we battle depression, we have our heavy things, it's because we need to heal. We need to take care of ourselves, and we need to seek out help. Because I had to in multiple different areas of my life. But also, the best thing, I'll give this answer right away, the best thing you can do for someone who's hurting is be the example for them. Is if you want someone to be happier, you find and create joy in your life. It's not, you don't wait for it. It's an active creation. If you want someone to be more active, you be more active. It's like if you want them to have a healthier neurochemistry, because we know this is extremely important with depression, you start eating right, taking care of your body, giving yourself the right fuel, because there's the mental, physical, emotional, spiritual, like all those things linked together. But starting with you. Because guys, if there's one thing I have been exceptionally good at throughout my life, it is being overly critical and hating myself in many ways. No matter what I did, no matter what I achieved, it was never enough. And I would just hammer myself into the ground, and it created stress, anxiety, pressure, depression, all kinds of things. And I didn't realize until very recently that I was putting that on myself. And I was creating that myself. So we're going to dive a lot deeper into that, but thank you for sharing that. All right, let's give a round of applause. We got a hand up in the back. Yeah, Chaz, I said Mike Runner, so let's get that Chaz.
That boy's slow. That boy a lot of people.
All right.
Oh, spinning.
Hello, my name's Xavier Rodriguez.
Hey guys, can we keep him down? I want to be able to hear him. What's your name, man?
Xavier.
Xavier, good to meet you, man.
Same here. I feel like there's not enough hours in a day to accomplish everything that I feel like I need to, because I have a lot of goals that I want to achieve.
Yep.
And I honestly feel like there's not enough time with balancing school,
Yep.
my goals, and sports, everything that I need to succeed. I feel like there's not enough time in a day.
Yep. All right, so how to create more time in the day would be valuable.
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you, Xavier. Let's give me a hand. All right, we'll do one or two more. We got a hand over here.
Hi,
Hi.
my name is Caitlin Bailey.
What is it?
Caitlin Bailey.
Caitlin Bailey, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
What's your question, or what would you like to learn more about?
And what I want to know about, I love being with my friends because they always tell me to follow my dreams, and I'm living my dreams right now, but I love my friends and my teachers, and everybody knows that I'm a great singer and dancer, and
Awesome.
I love being in drama class.
Good, yes.
And
Let's give her a hand, yes.
I love you guys so much.
That is awesome. All right, this is a great example of how we need to celebrate ourselves more. So fantastic. Thank you so much. Let's give her one more. Come on. Thank you.
Love you guys.
So this is part of how you start helping people, right there. Celebrating yourself. Okay. Fantastic. All right, one more. We got a hand right here?
Yeah, man. Hey.
Hi, I'm Matt.
What's your name, man?
Matt.
Matt, good to meet you.
So I kind of have this issue of like balancing like being
Can you bring like a little closer, bud?
not selfish enough and like caring too much about other people more than myself. So it's like
Yeah.
finding that balance.
Yeah.
I guess is my question.
Okay, thank you, Matt. Let's give him a hand. So, Matt, great person to ask that question to, because people-pleasing and over-giving and not having healthy boundaries is something I was another expert in for a very long time. So, do we have one more? Oh, yeah.
Kai!
Yeah.
Give it to Kai!
Is his birthday? Oh, yes, it is. Happy birthday, John. Oh, buddy. Yeah, all right. Thank you. Thank you for throwing your party here. It's so nice of you to willingly. All right, what's up, man?
The one question I have is
Hey,
that,
Mike, a little closer, man.
oh, sorry.
Yeah.
The one question I have is that how do you build up self-confidence? Because during school hours and after school hours, like I don't have the self-confidence to do things I love. Mm-hmm. And like people around me, they say is that, well, you do this, you have to stick with it. But like I want to do other stuff. Mm-hmm. Like I do football, but I also love to do theater.
Awesome.
And like dealing with the schedules being caught in between each other, and it's difficult, and I don't have the self-confidence to make a choice is because I'm worried about other people judging me right away.
And if I can ask, would you say it's more peers? Is it family? If you're willing to share, is it peers, family? Like, who do you find that you're seeking the approval from the most? And guys, I want everyone to pay attention here, because whether or not you realize it, right now, the way you are behaving is because you are seeking approval from someone. Now, you might go, no, it's like, that ain't me, I'm fine, I'm a lone wolf. Some of the most independent people on the planet are the ones who are seeking the approval most intensely. So, John, I appreciate you asking this, dude, because it's so easy to just pretend like, no, it's cool. Like, let me tell you, in high school, I was so good at putting on masks about my confidence, my clarity, whatever, about like who I wanted to be. No, I'm this, I want to be a football player, because I wasn't that good, but I liked looking like a football player. I liked to, I never got the varsity jacket, but I liked, people knowing that I was on the team. But there were so many other things I wanted to do too. So who do you find that you seek it from the most? Because that's an important distinction.
Most of the time I seek it from most of the time I seek it from my parents, but like during school hours, like it's towards peers.
Yeah. Thank you, man. I appreciate you sharing. Let's give me a hand. All right, guys.
Thank you.
I think we're going to dive in. I'm not seeing any other hands. All right. So, from what I'm hearing, I was talking to some of your classmates before, from talking to you right now, from reading the questionnaires. It sounds like, so one, confidence, how to have more confidence. Two, how do we help ourselves through pain, and how do we help ourselves through our struggles? And then three, there's something that one of my mentors, who is one of the most renowned speakers on the planet and a world-renowned therapist and coach, taught me, called the cure to insecurity, which ties into both of those. What I'd like to do is talk about those things based off what you're telling me would be valuable today, and then additionally build in how you can discover your purpose and how to make it happen faster than you thought possible. Would that be beneficial, yes or no? You sound thrilled with that. So would that be beneficial, yes or no? All right, good. Awesome. So we're going to dive in, because guys, like, I want you to know I chose to come here. It's like I took time away from work. I came back to this school. This is not a paid thing or anything like that, because I wanted to come and speak to you guys, because these messages matter so much to me. I'm going to share a story that happened just a couple of weeks ago that I still can't really talk about without getting emotional, because it, to me, felt so wrong. Because I went to speak in an elementary school, and it's my first time speaking in elementary school, and I thought this was going to be, easy. We're going to talk about positive things, all happy. I was worried I wasn't going to be able to keep their attention. And then we're going to do Q&A after, like we were going to do after today's presentation. And we're asking questions. There's all kinds of funny, cute things. The little girl goes, like, and I'm like, yes. She goes, I forgot. And I'm like, okay, we're moving on. But then this one guy, and these were 5 to 12-year-olds. He raises his hand. I found out later he was 10 years old. He puts his hand up. His eyes are heavy. His body language is down. It looks like he's actually physically carrying weight, but there's nothing on his shoulders. And he looks at me, he raises his hand, he says, "What do you do if someone you love decides they don't want to live anymore and they're thinking about..." This was a 10-year-old. Like, I've spoken to colleges, I've spoken to adult audiences beyond college, and I thought these were issues for people, or I was like, no, it's like younger kids don't have to face this. Childhood's fun, you're just focused on sports and playing, you're just with people. A 10-year-old kid is asking me about suicide. And I didn't know whether or not this was an okay topic, and I looked at my teacher, she goes, "Oh, please keep it down, this is very important." And I said, he's not the first one. If this was an important topic, there are lots of kids going through this. And I live out in Southern California now. This is at a low-income school district. A lot of these schools don't even have money for books and things. And so I'm looking at this and I'm like, man, this is very different than what I grew up in. I grew up in a house with so much love. I said, my mom, my dad, my brother, they loved me enough for 3 people. To an interesting point, to a point where I didn't really cultivate the ability to love myself. So that as things changed later in my life, I had to learn those skills. Because who do you spend the most time in your life with? It's the person you're sitting in right now when you see in the mirror every morning. So this 10-year-old boy asked me this question, and I gave him everything I could. I told him about different things I've tried, things I thought were ridiculous when I was a kid, but I told him about the times in my life that I went to therapy. I told him about the times in my life that journaling or meditation or exercise or just talking to a friend or seeking out a mentor or a counselor. I told him about the times where one of the hardest things for me is to ask for help, but I needed to do it because I was facing things I couldn't face. Things that I just didn't have a bar for. Like when I was in high school, I was fortunate. My greatest challenges I was able to face with physical activity. That's why I played sports. I was like, my anger, my frustration, I could get it all out on the field. But there were bigger things coming in my life. Who here has ever gotten a phone call, a text, or an email that they knew before opening it or before reading it or before picking up the phone was going to change their life? Show of hands. Yeah. That's a good number of people. A life-changing text or phone call, one that once you hear it, once you pick up that phone, once you read that message, there's a split in your life and things are going to be different forever. This was back around 2013 when I was living in Wisconsin. I graduated from Penn State and I was out living the dream, right? I'd done it. I'd gone to a good school, I got good grades, I got a good starting salary and a good job first. I'm gonna be able to pay back my loans and start a great career. And I thought I'm good. And very quickly I fell into the monotony of life. It was just kind of the same thing over and over. And I was like, there's gotta be more to life than this. And I know a lot of you are feeling that right now in high school. Like there's something more. Like I want to be doing. It's like you were saying, John. Like there's a lot of things I want to do. Like why do I just have to do this one thing? You don't. But a lot of times we're told that. A lot of times people give us that message, and a lot of times people believe that because that's what they were taught. And so I get stuck in this hamster wheel. I feel like there's got to be more to life than this. And that's when I got introduced to Sean Stevenson. My brother sent me a video called Sean Stevenson's Dance Party. And there's a 3-foot-tall man in a wheelchair dancing to Kesha for 3.5 minutes. And I was having this terrible day, and he gets up and he's talking about how life shouldn't be so serious, about how we should have more fun. I'm like, if he can do it, man, of course I can do it too. I come to find out, I'm like, who is this guy? He's a condition called osteogenesis imperfecta, which is brittle bones disorder. So when he was a kid, a sneeze could break a rib. A tap to his leg could snap his femur, biggest bone in our body. By the time he was in his teens, he had over 220 breaks and fractures. You might go, oh my God, that poor guy. The things he's been through. But then I saw how he changed his life. I saw that he started his own speaking business when he was 14, 15 years old, and has been self-employed ever since. I saw that he went to speak at the White House with Bill Clinton and work with Bill Clinton. I saw that he's now one of the most renowned speakers and therapists and trainers in the world. He built his own business. He's happily married, and he's been wheelchair-bound his entire life. He has an 8-pack, actually, and I was like, great. He just killed every excuse I ever had for not working out. I'm like, thank you, Sean. And so I see this guy, and I'm like, I have a choice here. I can choose. I'm like, I don't know where to get started, so I started watching more YouTube videos. I started watching more TED Talks, Awesomeness Fest speeches. I started reading books, very few books. Only recently have I become a reader, but I reluctantly got through some pages, and I got some valuable stuff there. And my life starts to change. I start running with this group called My Team Triumph, which is a group that helps individuals with disabilities participate in endurance events. So if you've ever seen Dick and Rick Hoyt on ESPN, the father-son group, that they go through Ironmans and triathlons, marathons, everything together, I ran with that group in Wisconsin, did 9 different events, 2 half marathons, 10Ks, 5Ks, pushing people with all different forms of mental and physical disabilities through endurance events. And it was one of the first times I got to really combine 2 of my favorite things, which is physical fitness and helping others. And I'm like, I'm on fire. I was like, I want to write a book. And all the excuses pop up. Who are you? You're some 24-year-old kid? Like, what are you going to write about? Actually, at the time, would have been 23. It's like, what are you going to write about? Who's going to listen? How are you going to publish it? How are you going to edit it? You don't know any of this. And so, oh yeah, you're right, excuses, thank you. I was about to be ambitious. I'm just going to go back over here. But then, as I started doing more and more of this work, consistently hammering in those messages of positivity, of possibility, of introducing myself to examples of people who had done what I was trying to do. People who were told, there's no way, you can't, you won't, you're not good enough, you're not smart enough. And they said, they laughed, they smiled, they said, thank you for your feedback, I'm gonna go ahead and do me. I started to introduce myself to those examples because, guys, one of the greatest pieces of advice I got from my mentors is find people who have the results that you want and learn from them. I remember being in high school and asking for relationship advice from friends who could never keep a relationship, and I'm like, no, that actually makes sense. I should be asking some other people. It's like, if you want, Dean Graziosi is an amazing speaker who talks about his parents have both been married and divorced 6 or 7 times. He's like, I love them. I'm not going to ask them for relationship advice. Find the coaches, find the mentors, find the people. And I remember one of my early excuses was, I didn't have the money. I can't invest all this. I graduated with $80,000 in student loans from Penn State, and I was like, I'm barely, paying my bills and doing this, and I have a little bit to save. And then I heard Brian Johnson say, I got to spend time with the best mentors in the world through books, through media, through YouTube, through podcasts. Guys, there have never been fewer barriers. There have never been less things between you and the knowledge you want to get. It's just creating the time. So this goes back to what a couple people said about time. It's really interesting. As I started doing these things, I started to shift my reality. The same place, the same people, the same boring job started to become fun because I started creating purpose in it. I started creating reason. I started finding things in it that I was like, where can I grow here? What can I bring into this to make this interesting right now? Because so many people fall into something called destination fallacy or the accomplishment fallacy. It's I'll be happy when syndrome. I'll be happy when I graduate. I'll be happy when I get into a good school. I'll be happy when I get the job. I'll be happy when I make this amount of money. I'll be happy when I have the girlfriend. I'll be happy when. It goes down the list. I get caught in this all the time. I still have to catch myself when I'm going, I'll be happy when, because if we can't enjoy the process of getting there, it just becomes one chase after another. Because once you hit that goal, that's what I started to do, guys. I was like, publish this book, bam. Then I'm going to love myself. Then I'm going to feel good enough. No? Launch a business, coach people. Yeah, no? But I'll get a girlfriend. Now I'm good. No? Why don't I love myself yet? Because I realized I was looking for something external to fill that void. I was looking for someone else's approval, someone else's validation, someone else to tell me, hey, you're worthy of being loved, when I needed to be doing it in the mirror every day. Because I had spent so much time conditioning that bad behavior of being hard on myself, of looking in the mirror and seeing the flaws, of wishing this was different, or I was taller, or I was this, or I was that, or I looked different in some way. So I'm doing all these things. I'm in my zone now, right? running with my Team Triumph, and I decided to start writing my book. And the funny thing was, like, all that positivity, and I say, I should write a book. And then the voices come back and they go, well, you don't know how to publish and edit. And, you don't. And then this other voice for the first time came up and said, no, I'm not talking about all that. What's stopping you from writing? Picking up your computer and writing right now. And I went, okay, other voice, that's pretty good. I was like, you're right, I can do it. Like, I'm filled with this rush of excitement. I'm like, I'm gonna do that tomorrow. And then I procrastinated for another 2 weeks. But I finally did it. One night I said, I'm too tired. I wanna get started. I'm good. I'm like, I'm gonna, no, I shouldn't. I've got one sentence. Because I've been thinking about it every day, all day, and I think this is true for a lot of you too. Who here has had an idea that they couldn't get out of their head? Show of hands. Something that just kept percolating, and maybe one day, and maybe I'll get started. Yeah, you see, it's not that uncommon. And there are things that are so much closer than you realize, because I started that one line, and then I got rolling. I said, I'm going to commit to write one word a day, because what I specialize in now is helping people transform their habits. And one of the main things is building consistency. And when you set goals that are so small they seem ridiculous, it enables you to have more success, create more momentum. And I started building and building and building. And I'm writing this book. Everything's going right, man. My job is now fun because I'm making it fun. I'm connecting with people. I'm being more myself. I'm shedding the masks. I stopped being like corporate Brian and like real Brian. I was just like, why am I trying to be what I'm not? This isn't fun. I'm like, I remember when I would put on those masks in high school, in college. I mean, like, guys, I still do it now, and I have to catch myself and pull those things off. I would find myself dying inside. Because when you put on a mask, the interesting thing that happens, if people accept you, you resent them because you know it's not really you. And if they reject you, you think, what our minds do is go, no, that's good because we're protected. They can't actually hurt us because that wasn't us. But you will never truly know, and you will never truly meet the people that you're meant to meet, connect with, be with, the football playing, theater playing, dancing, whatever. It's like those people are out there, but finding your tribe, your niche, your people is one of the greatest pursuits in life. It's also one of the hardest. But you will never be able to get started unless you're willing to be the one, you're the only one who can initiate it. And it was by starting to take these steps. And then I heard one of the greatest pieces of advice for finding your passion and your purpose. Because I know this question, it's everywhere. I mean, it's starting younger and younger. What do you want to do with the rest of your life? What's your passion? What's your purpose? What do you want to... And the funny thing is, everyone asking you this doesn't really know themselves. That's one of the biggest, best-kept secrets, is that the adults out there that are like just know what they want to do, everyone is figuring it out as they go. So one, I want you to take that pressure off yourself right now. But two, would you guys like to hear possibly the greatest piece of advice, and it may sound too simple, on how to start discovering passion and purpose in your life? Show me some hands if you'd be interested in learning that. Excuse me. Cool, all right. I'm actually getting over a bad cold and didn't have a voice until yesterday. So that worked out well. When I have 3 speeches coming up this week, I was like, come on, man. All right, so one of the greatest pieces of advice I got for how to discover your passion and your purpose was from Elizabeth Gilbert. And if you aren't familiar with the name, she wrote the book Eat, Pray, Love, which I've never read the book. I've never seen the movie, but I heard her interviewed on a podcast. And they were asking her, Elizabeth, you've lived this life of just passion and purpose. How did you discover it? She goes, don't follow your passion. I was like, oh, okay, this is supposed to be like a motivational podcast. Like, what are you doing, Elizabeth? She goes, follow your curiosity. And this was a rock back moment for me. I like to call it like when you're sitting in a chair and you kind of like rock back and you're like, Don't follow your passion, follow your curiosity. And what I realized that in my life, there had been kind of 2 stories. When I was trying to figure out my passion and my purpose, which honestly, guys, it comes from here. It's like there's something pulling you and calling you here right now that's like, go do that, go try that, go talk to that person. That comes from here. All the rationale and all the excuses and your ego and all that, that's up here trying to keep you in your comfort zone. And so when I'm trying to do that, I'll be like, oh, what should I do? Like, let me just sit on the couch and think about it. Let me not get out there. No, I need to journal in this. And then I would go into paralysis through analysis. I'd end up just sitting there, stock still, not doing a thing. I would go, this is overwhelming. And then I'd find any number of distractions and numbing agents to be like, well, no, I can't, it's too much, it's too heavy. Follow your curiosity, though, looks a lot different. Follow your curiosity has led to some of the greatest things in my life. Pretty much all of them. When I got a call from a recruiter about a job, and the job title, Supply Chain Internal Auditor, which sounded horrific. I was about to just hang up. But a piece of advice my dad gave me popped into my head, and he said, it never hurts to get more information. And so I followed my curiosity. I asked, it turns out this is the job that I ended up traveling the world, paid for 100% for a little over 3 years. I got to see and go to some of the most incredible places. I got to live in Brazil, which for me was just a dream come true. By following my curiosity, I said, I'm going to take a salsa class. And I loved it because when Coach Kramer was reading the introduction, it's like, he's a Cuban salsa teacher. People looked at me like, the redhead. Come on, be honest. And it's like, but that was one of the greatest things in my life, and still is, that I saw a class, I resisted, I had all this hesitation, I didn't want to do it, I was pushing away, and I finally went to my first Cuban salsa class when I was living in North Carolina. 3 years later, I was helping my coach teach. I do bachata, merengue, kizomba, like all these different styles of dance, and now that I live in Southern California, I'm learning LA-style salsa. Because I'm a person who can get very caught in my head. I overthink everything. I'm constantly, the wheels are turning. Dance actually gives me a way to get out of my mind, into my body, and relax and just connect with people in a really beautiful way. So following your curiosity, like writing the book, it was like, well, where's it going to go? I don't know. What's it going to be? What's going to happen? I don't know. But I kind of want to go there. Brian, there's a job opportunity in Brazil. You're the only person on the team who speaks Spanish and Portuguese. Would you be interested? Yes. Why? I don't know. Something that my mentor, Sean Stevenson, says that your intuition won't always make sense. It can't give you the full picture. Because you need to be able to have the faith to take the step and take the actions to get there in order for it to show you why. Moving to California was a lifelong dream. And when it finally came up, I was terrified. I was like, oh, geez, I'm going to have to find new dance classes. Like, how am I going to find dance in Southern California? And it's like, really? You ever catch yourself at your own excuses? Like, what if there's no outdoor activities? It's like, come on, dude. Like, when you're just pulling at threads, we've all seen it. We've all been there. So all these lessons start to come together, guys. All these things, I'm like, life is on point now. Life is going the way it should. It's always going to stay like this. I'm never going to get derailed. Never going to be stopped. I know these positive lessons. I have these beliefs. I'm good. And then I'm sitting at my couch in Wisconsin. And the phone rings. And one of my favorite names pops up on the phone. I pick it up. I say, hey, Mom, how are you? Do we know anything new? Mom was at the hospital. And she'd been there for about 3-4 days. She'd been having some very, very bad stomach problems. And they said, it's probably pancreatitis. I said, what is that? They're like, it's inflammation. What does that mean? Is it permanent? No. She would just need to spend a few days at the hospital. She'd get some fluid. She'll be good to go. I said, great, okay. So today was the day we're going to find out what it actually was. They did some more scans. Pick up the phone. Mom did more. They're like, well, what's up? How are you? Brian, we have more information. I will never forget the words she said. Brian, we have more information. It's cancer. She goes on to explain to me, it's pancreatic cancer. I volunteered at Penn State with a group that raises money for children with cancer. I knew pancreatic cancer was one of the most aggressive forms. My mom, and many of your coaches and faculty knew her, was one of the sweetest people on the planet. She was the one who literally made cookies for us when we were out playing. She was always there to listen. She was one of like my greatest sources of information and wisdom. Like when I was living in Wisconsin, I would call home. Mom and Dad would both pick up the phones. We'd talk almost every day. And my family has always been at the Corn Foundation, and now I'm facing something I never thought I could. And I said, Mom, we're going to help you through this. I promise you we're going to help you through this. I'm living in Wisconsin, but I'll do whatever I can. And I was suddenly faced with something I had never expected to face. This wasn't supposed to happen. This wasn't the plan. This wasn't the way it's supposed to go. No. Mom's gonna be at my wedding, right? Like, mom's gonna be there for my kids, right? She's gonna be. It's not gonna go like this. It's not how it's going down. But now she needs positivity. She needs me to be strong. I'm gonna be there for her. I'm gonna go home a lot. We're gonna get through this. They have chemo, they have treatments. Technology's never been better. And so we started. She's going through chemotherapy. Things are looking good. Hope is kind of coming back. She's still out gardening. She's doing the things she loves, very simple things. One of her mottos was, simple pleasures are the best. One of the things she loved more than anything was when me, my brother, my dad, like me and my brother come home from college. We're all home for the holidays, just like now. And we got to be together. She did like simple things she celebrated in a way that I have so much to learn from. But then as time went on, the cancer markers start going back up. The doctors say there's one last chance. We're going to have the surgery where we're going to go in. The tumor is between two main veins and a main artery. And if we cut any of them, she could die. And we need to shrink the cancer with chemo, and then we'll be able to go in. And I'll never forget the day we got the call where they said, we can't do the surgery anymore. I said, why? I said, we can't do the surgery. That was it. What does that mean? We go back to the hospital. Mom didn't leave the hospital after that. Cancer had metastasized, and it had spread to her liver and to her lungs. And over the course of 9.5 months, I watched my mom go from happy and healthy to ultimately passing away from pancreatic cancer when I was 24 years old. You see, I thought I had my tools. I thought I was ready. I thought I had my battle plan. Let's go work out, right? I'll just go talk to some friends. But I was at a place I'd never been. I was at the lowest I'd ever been. I was scared, and it took me years to realize this through coaching, through working with mentors. I didn't think I could do life without her. There were times I just said, what's the point? I was so scared. I never expected that at that age. I remember that it was 2 weeks before my brother's wedding when she passed. I remember planning this killer best man speech for my brother's wedding. It's gonna be funny. I'm gonna make fun of him. I'm gonna celebrate the bride. You know, I used to work in catering. I know the moves. But all I could talk about was how much Mom would have loved that day. How much she would have been so happy to officially make Kristen part of the family. It was the simple things she celebrated. And that's helped me to start to realize what were the things I needed to be focusing on. Because this is where some of the darkest points came for me. This is where I was hurting worse than I ever had felt. Like, if this was my happy, sad scale, right? Let's say, happiest I've ever been, saddest I've ever been. And everything kind of fell in here. It's like, oh, that's really intense, or whatever. When I got dumped 2 days before prom in that lobby, really sad, horrible things. That actually happened. It's a real thing. And it's like, this was my range. But then all of a sudden, my sad side got blown out to past that exit sign. I didn't know what to do. And for a while, I was numb. For a while, I decided, you know what? Feeling and love is what made this hurt. Again, this took years to figure out, guys. Love is why I'm hurting so much. And so your brain, this is your logical mind going, well, I just need to stop loving. Oh, and if feelings are what made me just stop feeling. You'll be safe. You'll be good. And I'm walking around like a zombie. I said, I need to do whatever it is I need to feel good right now. I'm like, all right, I'm going to eat bad food. I'm going to have a couple beers at night. I'm going to do these different things. And I started using different things to numb. I started using different things to pull me out of reality. I used things to pull me away from the things I didn't want to face. And guys, I'm going to be real with you. I know that there's so many times where people go, oh, you're kids, you're this, you're that. It's like, I'm going to talk to you like I would talk to anybody else. because I know what you're going through, I know where you're at, and I know these problems are not unique to someone who's 28 plus. It's like the reasons that we go to alcohol, to pornography, to sex, to these different things, that we're seeking out that validation, that numbing, that distraction, is because we're trying to run from what we're afraid to face, because we're afraid if we face this actual thing, it'll destroy us. I was afraid if I faced those emotions, it would be too much. But I got started. It started with YouTube videos. It started with events. It started with reaching out for friends, going to therapy for the first time in my life, having my first panic attacks, taking anti-anxiety medicine, which I thought I would never need. But I was like, right now I need this. I'm like, this isn't going to be permanent. This isn't going to be forever. But right now I need help. And just asking for help was one of the greatest steps that I could take. Then I went to events, and then I started to see this different culture. I started to see my tribe. I went to an event by that guy, Sean Stevenson. I got to meet him in person for the first time, and I was like, oh my God, this guy I saw on millions of views on everything, this viral sensation, this famous guy, I get to meet him. I get to spend a weekend with him. Since then, I've been to every single one of his events every year since, except with the exception of one for the past 4 years. Last year, I spent the entire year in his highest level coaching program. I spent a year with him and 9 other people going deep into this work, working on self-love, working on self-care, working on how do I overcome these battles and these struggles that I'm facing. Because people who want to be a speaker or an author or a coach or whatever your goal is, what's interesting, it all comes down to the same root. We're all afraid we're not enough. We're all afraid we won't be strong enough. We won't be good enough. We won't be the one that's able to do it. We won't be the one, that's for special people. That's for different people. Guys, I went to this high school. I sat in those same chairs 10 years ago. I want you to see that, not that you can be me. I don't want you to be me. I want you to be what you want to be. That's what my message is. That's what my story is. It's not about you should be a writer and a coach. That's not it. I want you to recognize what you want. I want you to take the time that most people don't to look into what actually matters for you and start taking the steps today. And here's the thing, guys. It's very easy to get caught up in the nonsense on social media. 6-pack abs in 10 minutes, how to make $10,000 a day in your underwear and all this stuff. Every successful, truly successful mentor, not scam artist, not person, that I have met, the examples that I've had in my own life, with coaches, with my dad, it's like with people who have actually achieved success in their lives, it is consistent daily effort. And I kept trying to find it. I kept trying to find the shortcuts. Trust me, that was like one of my early things. What's the one book I need to read? What's the one podcast I need to listen to where I get the secret and then I can just make passive income and I'm golden for the rest? No. What's much better is finding what you're willing to commit your life to and then spending each day connecting with that purpose. Facing the challenges, facing the adversity, working towards it. One of the greatest things you can get from school is not the specific lessons. It is not what is the capital of this country. It's not what happened this year. It is learning how you learn. One of the most important things you will ever learn in your life is understanding yourself better, how you learn, how you take in information, how do you care for yourself, how do you help yourself through difficult challenges. When you spend the time with you, the world outside you changes. As Byron Katie says, your external world is a reflection of your internal world. And one of the most important pieces of that is battling your fears or battling your insecurities. And that same mentor, Sean, who years and years ago was just some guy on a screen dancing to Kesha, he taught me what is his cure to insecurity. Now I want you guys to be open with me for a second because it may sound too simple, okay? I want you guys to open your minds for a second, think about this, and really let it sink in. Because when he first said it to me, I was very quick to dismiss it. I'm like, no, that can't be it. He talked about how battling your insecurities is a daily thing. And I said, oh no, I don't want to hear that. I had that destination fallacy, right? Once I do all these things, I'll just be able to be happy all the time. I won't have to work at it anymore. At one point, I'll have worked out enough, I'll never need to work out again. At one point, I will have eaten enough kale, I will never need to eat anymore. But he said it's a daily thing. And he's one of the best people in the world to talk about it. He's grown up his entire life in a wheelchair with a body that looks different. and has shared messages of how to empower yourself. And he's had to do that over and over again. And he said, that daily battle against insecurity, those voices get a lot quieter when I do one thing. And he said, the cure to insecurity is self-care. I said, okay, so what do you mean self-care? Like getting a massage? Like what is self-care? He says, for him, it can be a number of activities, and he has what's called a When Life Works list. And now I have my own version of this. He's got 14 things on this whiteboard that he keeps in his room right by where he can see every single day. On that list, he has things like hydrate, exercise, talk with a friend, read something inspirational, watch one of your favorite movies, go for a walk. These are all things that help either reinvigorate his body, his mind, his spirit, that help him stay connected with him. And what he says is if he does at least 4 of those things a day, he has massively better days. Doesn't mean every day is great. Doesn't mean every day is without challenge. Doesn't mean every day is perfect. But just by taking the time every day to love on yourself, to treat your own wounds, to take care of your pain, and sometimes doing that is through reaching out to other people. Sometimes that is all it takes, something small, a conscious action towards taking care of you that you can use to then help others. Because guys, the whole reason I take such exceptional care of myself now, my daily routine now looks nothing like what it would have years ago, but it is because it's the only way that I can be in an optimum state in order to give as much as I can to you guys. Because when I do this is not a joke. This is not something that I just do for fun or it's no big deal. Like, I care so deeply about sharing these messages because I know what you guys are going through. I know the battles. I know the struggles. I may not know your specific situation. I may not know exactly. I mean, I've never been through it myself, but I know the fear, the doubt, the insecurity, these things that constantly plague me that I am working to fight against and I want to help you fight against. And so the last thing that I'm going to cover today, I talked about time. And so many people are saying there's just not enough time in the day. And then we hear the other quotes. We hear the things online, well, Oprah has the same number of hours in the day. And people go, well, I don't have 72 assistants. And there's this back and forth that we have in our minds. But here's the reality about time. It's not a lack of time. It is a lack of priorities. Here's when I feel the most stressed and the most worked up and the most out of control. Is when I have not prioritized my day in any way. So at any given day, let's say I have 100 things I want to do, and they're anything from the biggest goals to the smallest little to-dos of like having to take out the trash. If I don't consciously take the time to prioritize those things in a way that's meaningful for me about what's going to advance me towards my goals, then I'm just at the mercy of whatever gets thrown at me first. Because guys, in high school, I was terrible at it. Terrible. I was late every single day. I would wake, if school started. When does school start? What time? 7:17? It's an oddly specific number, but all right. So 7:17, I'd be up at 7 and be like, well, it takes 15 minutes to get to school. If I get ready in 2 minutes, I was always late. Always late to homeroom. I didn't have good routines. I wanted to get big results. I wanted to be a star athlete and all these things. But something that Inky Johnson says that I love is your expectations should never exceed your effort. And there have been a lot of times that I've been wanting results that I knew in my heart I wasn't working for. So when it comes to creating more time, one, get clear on what it is you want to do. Taking an hour or two to journal, write down, put up on the whiteboard what you're actually working towards right now. It doesn't need to be 10 years, guys. When you go, what do you want to do for the next decade? I don't know. I have no idea. Right now I'm working on right now and kind of like the near distant future. Getting clear there. And first say, these are my priorities. These are my values. These are my non-negotiables. Once you've done that, then you can go through your daily list of activities and say, do some prioritization. Say, all right, are these things actually bringing me forward? Are these things that are actually even important? Some of these things you can just totally get rid of. They don't mean anything. They're not necessary. Other things you have to do, you got chores, you got homework, you got requirements. Where are you creating and building time to work towards your dreams? Because one of the greatest creators of stress and anxiety I've felt in my life is when I don't feel like I'm progressing. I don't feel like I'm growing. I don't feel like I'm learning. So taking that time daily is something that is going to massively shift your life. Taking that time daily is what has enabled me to do what I'm doing now. And taking that time daily is what has helped me to be able to be at places like that school that one day when that kid asked me about that person in his life that was thinking about committing suicide. I talked to him. I gave him everything I could in that moment. I talked about all the different ideas, all the different concepts, all the different pieces that I could use, that I had tried, the things that worked for me, that worked for friends. I recommended getting help. I said, don't be afraid to ask for help. I said, take care of yourself first, because it's so easy to lose sight of our own needs when we're trying to care for other people. But we cannot fully care for someone else unless we care for ourselves first. I told him about physical activity. I told him about diet. I told him about metabolism. I told him all these different things. And then I asked his teacher if I could talk with him after the speech. Once the speech ended, I learned an incredibly powerful tool I want to share with you guys on how to respond when someone shares something painful with you. Because normally what do? I'm so sorry. Oh, I'm so sorry. And my friend Mike Domish, who's one of the most booked speakers in the world, said that carries guilt, that carries heaviness. What we want to do is we want to empower these people and lift them up. So say thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate you sharing that with me. I know that's heavy. I know that's tough. I'd love for you guys to try this out because this is a total game changer. Someone says, my mom just got diagnosed with cancer. Instead of I'm sorry and now I feel bad for even sharing that, you go, thank you for sharing that. And I'm like, so I said to this guy, he was nervous. He's like, oh no, he thought he was in trouble. And I said, hey man, thank you for sharing that. It's a really important topic. Not a lot of people bring that up, but we need to be talking about that more, and that you gave me an opportunity, so thank you so much. And he postured up. I said, can I ask you, was that about you or someone you know? We sit down, I'm talking to this 10-year-old boy for about 40 minutes. I come to find out his older sister was depressed and suicidal. His younger sister, of about 6, 7 years old, had a life-threatening condition and almost died twice. His father's an alcoholic. A 10-year-old boy had to stand in front of a man in a drunken rage who was throwing a flip-flop and throwing his phone at his mom, who got in his mom's face. This 10-year-old stood in between them and said, you don't talk to her like that, get the hell out of my house. A 10-year-old, he needs to be the man in the house because the actual man in his house acting like a kid. I'm like, this kid's 10. He should not have to battle this. He should not have to face this. But he is. And there's a lot of people, even in this room right now, going through heavy things. So what can we do? I made sure that I talked to his teacher, and we got in touch with his mom. Because I said, I'm here for a day. I went out and bought him a journal. I said, have you ever journaled? I'm like, dude, like, get this stuff out. He was told a lot of the nonsense we're told as men. Oh, you can't cry, don't show emotion. I'm like, really? How's that working for your dad? Because his dad is the one that told him. I'm like, why do people explode? It's because they've repressed so much emotion for so long. And why do people drink? All right, now I have permission to get it out. Now I can be ridiculous and blame it on the alcohol. It's a blame the victim to that. No. That's what he was doing. So rather than that, let's find the healthy ways to deal with this. Let's find the healthy ways to battle the stress and the emotion. Let's find the healthy ways to care for ourselves so we can be there for the people that need us, like this 10-year-old needed his dad to be. So I gave him a journal. We talked to his teacher, and I got one of the best texts of my life on Thanksgiving morning the next day. Because we were trying to connect. I was trying to get in touch with her. I was like, she needs to be aware. Because something else he shared with me was, with everything going on with his sisters and his house, he became suicidal. And he said something at one point, he was so quiet, I don't know whether he said I tried or I planned it, but I was like, oh my God. I don't know whether it's right now or it was at some point, but this kid, this 10-year-old boy was suicidal. I said, we need to make sure his mom knows. We were trying to get in touch. This is the day before Thanksgiving. There's family. I'm connecting through his teacher. I'm trying to get in touch. Finally, she says, here, why don't you just text it to me? I'll text it to her that way. At least we know she sees the full story. The next morning, I woke up to, like I said, one of the best texts I ever received. It said, oh my God, I had no idea. His mom had no idea. She said, I knew his sister was going through it, but think about a parent. She's dealing with this child. She's got the alcoholic father. This guy just got left out. She said, oh my God, I had no idea. I saw his sister going through it. And then down the bottom, 4 words, I will seek help. Turns out his sister had gotten therapy. They had resources. Now this kid is going to get support. And guys, this wasn't because I was there as a professional therapist with all these certifications and credentials. It wasn't because I had all this experience and a PhD from Harvard. It was because I took the time to listen and care. I took the time to be there. I took the time to actually connect with another human being for 40 minutes. And this kid may have never had somebody do that before. Like, we don't recognize the power that we each have within us to change somebody's life, because you right here in this room could talk to one person here after this thing today and realize that you made a difference for them, that they needed it. By getting out of our own head, like we get so stuck in our phones. I know, because I do it just as much. Stuck in my phone, I'm thinking about this, I'm busy with that. It's like putting it down for 1 second, taking a breath, looking around, and just seeing someone. You will see people who are hurting. You'll see people who need somebody to talk to. Doesn't mean they have to. But just go up and say, hey man, you doing all right? Hey, you're okay. Is there anything you want to talk about? Can make all the difference in somebody's life. So guys, before we go into Q&A, I want you all to know, I don't say these things as a joke. I don't say them as a cliche. I don't say these things lightly. I don't say you can change somebody's life as just a feel like a great idea, a great concept, because it's nice to say, because it's something that's good that's out there. I say this because I have had the opportunity. I have been blessed to have people come up to me after I've given a speech or a presentation and say, I never thought I could forgive my dad, but I'm going to try now thanks to what you said. I gave a speech, the speech that went viral, that Coach Kramer talked about at the beginning. It got 10.8 million views around the world and all this stuff, but what people don't know is when I gave that speech and I got off stage, there was a former Navy rescue swimmer there. Some of the best lifesavers. And in my story, I talked about saving a life. And he said, Brian, because of your story, because I'd given CPR dozens and dozens of times, I've never brought somebody back, but when I heard your story, I realized that maybe there was somebody else around that I saved. Maybe I saved the family from worry. Maybe I saved someone else from having to think if they'd only known what to do, that things would be different. He goes, because of that, I'm rethinking my whole career. But guys, you have a gift inside you. You have something in your heart. There's something that's calling to you, and there's something that you're curious about. You don't need to figure it out. You don't need credentials. You don't need money. You don't need all these different things. It's just a matter of getting started. It's just a matter of taking one step. It's writing one word. It's reading one page, listening to one podcast, talking to one person. Your life can change, and you have the power in your own hands to do it. And guys, it all starts today. Thank you. All right, guys, so I think we've got a few minutes for Q&A. Let's see. Mr. Stansbury, how are we doing on time? 10 minutes, all right. So if I could have my mic runners back up, please. And guys, Q&A is open. Anything that you're curious about, anything you want to talk about. Also, after the 10-minute period, I'll be down here if anybody wants to talk to me after I'm off stage. I'm going to stick around as long as you guys need, okay? So any questions? Let's see if we got any hands, anything that anyone's curious about. Jenna Galdi? Jenna Galdi, could you report to the visitor center? Jenna Galdi to the visitor center. There you got it. All right, so do we have a question?
Right here. My name is Isaac.
What's up, guys?
I was just wondering how you find motivation to keep doing the things you want to do. Like, how do you, when you wake up, how do you find motivation to go and pursue something without, like, giving up or quitting?
Okay, great question. The myth of motivation. That I remember always looking for something that was like, I want something that's going to motivate me every day, and I spring out of bed just feeling amazing, and I have energy, and it's just magical all the time. What I've found from my mentors is creating the systems and the structures in your life to support you even on the days that you don't is one of the most important things. Now, pursuing your curiosity so that you find things that light you up more is massively important. Because motivation, guys, the thought is it's something that's given, it's actually something created. So motivation, I think, comes through momentum. And it's something where, show of hands here, who has ever had something that like seemed totally overwhelming and daunting at first and they kind of didn't like, but they were curious about and they kept going and they learned, and then over time became one of their favorite things. Something really difficult. the momentum, the motivation to do it wasn't there at first. And probably a lot of days, it's like if it's an instrument or if it's going out and throwing the football when it's minus 10 degrees, you may not have that motivation inherent. It's not waiting for you, but it's almost like revving the engine. That's why every morning, so my normal morning routine, I get up, and I have not been a morning person most of my life. So I recently turned 29. Just recently, I started making that a priority. So I get up around 5:30. I do a 3-minute and 30-second plank. So you guys do like push-up position just to like activate my body. I read this goal statement that I have on my wall. I call it an identity statement. Then I read something for 5 minutes. I go do my workout, cup of black tea, and then I'm off on my day. And I cue that up every single day because even on the days I don't have motivation, then when I prioritize, I know what I'm going to work on. So even on the days I'm groggy, I'm tired, I'm just out of it, I didn't sleep well, I still know here's what I'm going to work on today. Here's the 1 or 2 things I'm going to get done. I keep that list very, very small because even on those tough days, I can still say, you know what, as bad as today was, I still got that done. And the motivation comes, another great way to increase motivation, make it bigger than yourself and make it more public. So if you have like a fitness challenge or something, you're like, I'm going to do 100 push-ups a day for the next 30 days. And you don't tell anybody, well, on day 15, when your arms are like burnt out and you're tired and you don't feel like it, it's real easy to just let it go. But if you've shared it on Facebook, you share it with your friends and your family, you put it out there and you've made commitments to people, and maybe you incorporate what I like to call positive consequences. If I achieve my goal, I will give back in this way. So I just finished my company's Morning Mastery Challenge today, actually. And because I hit my goal, I'm going to donate $50 to a Pancreatic Cancer Foundation and to my Team Triumph, the group I mentioned. So motivation, thank you guys. See, I'm even more motivated now. It's like, all right, let's double the challenge. But really, that's like create positive things to pull you forward. It doesn't always have to be negative consequences. Sometimes that can be good. But the real thing is like, here's a great way to create motivation. Do something small in the morning that is difficult, not dangerous, to help you have a win first thing in the morning. What Navy SEAL recommends, Navy SEAL commander who gave a Texas A&M commencement speech, make your bed every morning because you start your day with excellence. I took that a step further, and I do ice-cold showers virtually every morning, as cold as the water will go. There are lots of health benefits, but the main thing is, what's the last thing you want to do first thing in the morning is an ice-cold shower? That's the voices in my head saying, oh, no, you're not, you can't, you're not good enough. And I say, watch me. That's me taking a stand first thing every morning saying, today I control, I run the show. Does that help? Cool, thanks, Isaac. All right, what else? Do we have any questions, guys? I'm not sure if mics are getting passed or what's up. Any hands? Oh, there we go. Okay.
How do you know about love?
How do you know about love? So how do you know when you're loved, or?
Like how do you know about loving your friends and stuff?
Loving yourself. So how do you know about loving yourself?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, great question. It's something that I have a lot more work to do on, honestly. It's one of the things that has been one of my biggest challenges. And in reality, what's interesting is I got really good at achieving goals, really good at it. And I got really good at doing it faster than people thought possible. And then I started helping people doing it. But one of the big things that I realized was missing was I didn't set goals and say, what's the emotional state I want to be in while I'm working towards it? So I would be stressed, I'd be anxious, I'd be pushed, I would drive through, I'd make it happen, and then what? Again, I'm like, well, next goal, I guess I'll be happy later. And so what I've realized very recently in my life is that as I'm setting these goals, I need to actively work on self-care and love the same way I've worked on my physical fitness, my diet, my business, any of these other things, job search. So when it comes to self-love and self-care, I have a daily tracker for me of like my different self-care rituals to make sure that I'm staying on track, and if I see myself fading, I switch over and I make sure I shift. But when it comes to self-love, there's all kinds of different ways to do it. One thing is affirmations, which I have a love-hate with affirmations. A lot of people go, just say it and it will be so. And it's like, nah, say it and act and it will be so. So it's like looking in the mirror saying, I love you to yourself. And guys, honestly, if you try, it sounds so cheesy, I know, it sounds so corny, but when you do it, it's weird how awkward it will feel. For me, I'm doing it almost every morning now, and I'm like, it feels weird. I'm like, why am I doing this? I'm like, no, you don't. Or, I have all this resistance, and so I'm starting there. Starting with that, starting to do more of the things that build me up, starting to make sure I get the rest that I need. It's like little things make the difference, guys. These big dreams and these big things are thousands of small steps. There's all these little things. Like, people see the viral video, and Brian's everywhere now. They don't see the 6 years of personal development. They don't see the tens of thousands of dollars invested. They don't see the times I was crying in my mentor's arms, lost and scared and feeling like I had nothing left. So 1, daily self-care. 2, an empowering environment. And 3, empowering people. So surrounding yourself with great people who lift you up, who celebrate when you win and pick you back up when you fall, and being in areas that motivate and inspire you, and realizing you can create those just about anywhere you are. Cool? All right. Anything else, guys? I think we got time for 5 minutes? Okay. We got 5 minutes. I got a hand back here. I know it's almost lunch, guys. We're almost there.
Hey, I'm Joey.
What's up? Hang on, guys. Can we keep that? What's up, man? What's your name?
My name's Joey.
Hey, Joey. Good to meet you.
And my genuine question is, where do you find the strength to open up? Like, where do you find the strength to go to those you love the most, who think everything is okay, and just say, I'm not?
Dude, thank you. Thank you for asking that, because that hit me, because I've had those moments where I'm just like wanting to be so independent, wanting to be so strong, and it's like, especially as guys, we're taught like, nah, don't show it, and it's like, and how many men like snap because of that. So thank you for asking, because it starts with small steps, is probably the best piece I can give, but it's also knowing you, and it's knowing where you're at. Because if you're at a point where things, like, it just feels like the world's about to fall apart, which I've been there, sometimes it's just going to the person you're closest with and just saying, listen, I need some help. Sometimes if there's like, let's say there's this big, scary thing you're afraid to kind of address, but then there's like something smaller that's a little safer but still vulnerable, it's like, start there. Start opening up about that, because you'll also see who are the right people to open up to. And guys, I want to cover on vulnerability. I'm glad you brought this up, because it gives me an opportunity. People say, I don't want to be vulnerable because I don't want to be weak. The only time vulnerability can be weakness is if we're afraid of what people are going to do with what we say. If we feel afraid of how they're going to respond, or are they going to reject me? And guys, being a lifetime people pleaser, trying to get other people's approval, the idea of sharing who I really was or where I was really hurting, and what if I lost people, and what if they left me? Terrifying. But I've done this over and over and over. I mean, the reason I can share about like really heavy stuff on stage is because I've been doing it for years on my podcast. I've been doing it for years in my journal to myself. I've been finding ways to get the energy and the emotion out, because I knew if I didn't, I would either shut down like I did in the past or snap, which I've had both. So when it comes to finding the strength and the courage, because vulnerability, if you guys see me cry over talking about my mom, why would I care if someone goes, hi, or like someone responds in a way? If there's something that gets me so excited that I'm jumping up and down like a 5-year-old, it's like, that's vulnerable, that's weird, adults don't do that. It's like, that's why a lot of adults aren't happy. It's like being really you and allowing yourself the permission to be yourself. To be like, I need help right now, because we all do. Guys, I will. That's why I'm built like I will. It's like in recent weeks I've called people and been like, I just need to talk. I feel overwhelmed. Like, it happens to me all the time. But that's why I've built up that network more and more, and I'm growing it, so I know the people I can go to, I know the resources that I have, and also, if you're afraid to go to the people closest to you, there's all kinds of like hotlines and digital resources. I was looking up things, whether it's anxiety, stress, depression. There's IM chats, there's phone conversations, so it can be good to start there in someone that's like totally neutral and outside the situation. Or another great one, rehearse it. Like literally like you were giving a speech, practice it so you don't have to think when you're in the moment, you're able to deliver it. If you have any other questions, feel free to come up after, okay? Cool.